Hello traders. Yesterday US markets ended in the red mostly because of traders and investors expecting US GDP data. Yesterday Dow was down by 491 points or 1.5%, Nasdaq was down by 370 points or 3%, and S&P 500 was down by 78 points or 2%. I was just waiting for the US GDP data. I was just waiting for the US GDP data and it came out negative at 1.6%, slightly below than previous 1.5%. Now, why is it important to us and what impact is it going to create to our markets or Indian markets? You know that we follow the US market than our own markets. Now, what will happen is US market participants are expecting if the GDP slows down, Federal Reserve may not increase the interest rate. So if there had been a positive figure in US GDP data, Federal Reserve will be forced to increase the interest rate. Now, since it is negative, US markets may be flat and our markets may open flat tomorrow. So let's see what happens. In simple terms, simply US GDP data is out as expected by investors and traders, so we may not see any big movements in the market. Let's see, fingers crossed, right? So as I talked to you, when our markets were closed, I think Dow Jones US futures were flat, kind of flat, and now since the GDP data is out, it is slightly in the green. I think Dow Jones is up by 78 points, S&P 500 is flat, and Nasdaq is also flat, right? And if you see here, when our markets were closing, FTSE was deeply in the red. I think it was down by 40 or 50 points. Now it has recovered mostly. We will talk about that also, right? So this is how markets are behaving. And not only that, even if you see, as I told you, Europe was in the red when it opened today afternoon, but has recovered significantly. You know that DAX or German index is down by 1.25%. That's because annual inflation rate in Germany slowed more than expected to 7.6% in June of 2022 from a record of I think 7.9% in May, and compared to market forecast of 7.9%. Otherwise, France has also recovered and even FTSE has also recovered. And as I showed you, it is really flat as I talked to you. And looking at our markets, looking at our crazy market, today Nifty was up by just 0.50%, but in between it gapped down and opened at 15,700 and went all the way to 15,860 just to close around 15,780 points, 80 levels, a 220 points swing in Nifty. And you know what is the reason? It was just because of Reliance, which was up by 2.10%. Thanks to Mr. Mukesh Ambani for stepping down. If it was not Reliance, we would have gone below 15,700 today, right? If you compare Nifty with Bank Nifty was super flat and whole day it was just swinging 150 points up and down. It was only Nifty which was performing and Bank Nifty was doing the opposite. Now, this shows that there is a divergence between Nifty and Bank Nifty. So, please be careful, and we really don't know what is going to happen. And when it comes to open interest, what I can see is that people are writing 15,700. People are writing between 15,700 to 15,400, even though there is aggressive call writing. So, if you compare put writing and call writing, PCR is in favor of calls, right? So what does that mean is actually today there was no call rating at all. People have squared off or exited some of the calls in Nifty. I am not talking about Bank Nifty, in Nifty. So there were significant put rating in Nifty today. So what does that mean is, so tomorrow market may close between 16,500, 15,500 to 16,000. Yeah, that is a big range, but what to do? See, looking at previous expiry, which was last week expiry, we saw violent move. We saw alphabets W, U, V, what and all we saw. So looking at that type of expiry, I am expecting 15,500 to 16,000. Maybe it may not swing. Who knows, right? Markets are highly volatile. And nowadays it is very hard to predict these markets. So that's why I'm giving a range of 15,500 to 16,000. Yeah, I know this is a very long range. And you just have to remember, I think markets are really going to be flat tomorrow. Markets will open flat tomorrow. That's what I believe. But let's wait and see let's wait and see what is happening, what's going to be the price action in US market. And as I told you, Bank Nifty was not performing today, and that is evident in the open interest itself. Aggressive call rating at 33,300. The way Bank Nifty was acting today, price action, if you see the price action, it was not even able to close above yesterday's low, which was 33,300, 33,500 levels. All day long, the highest point of Bank Nifty was 33,400, I think, and that also couldn't sustain. So you act as how we'll act tomorrow. We will see how US markets, what is going to be the price action in US market. SGX Nifty is also flat, and I am hopefully, I think market will open flat. That's what I think. Even if it gaps down, I think 15,700 is going to be super support, and on the upside 15,900 is going to be a good support. Now we are in between 15,500 to 15,700. We are 16,000. We are at 15,780 levels. So you just keep this range in mind. If it gaps up, it is going to come down. If it gaps down, it is going to go up. So that's what we saw today also. Not only today, yesterday also we saw Nifty gapping down and going up. Next day, today also gap down and going up. On both days, 15,700 was sustained by Nifty, right? So keeping all this in mind, you decide what is going to be your trade tomorrow. So be careful tomorrow. We shouldn't be experiencing and I'm sure what I think is right. Last Thursday, many traders lost huge amount of money in previous expiry. So many people will be out of the market, or many retail traders will be out of the market this week or tomorrow's expiry. So there might not be any big violent move like what we experienced in our previous expiry. So that is what I believe. So let's see how things pan out. Things may go wrong. Things don't work as we expect, or we cannot dictate how the market should behave. It's purely price action, how many factors, and let us see if our big brothers FIIs have how much our big brothers have sold. And I think data has not yet come. I'm sure they would have sold because it was only Reliance which was performing. Apart from Reliance, nothing was performing. And I'm sure they would have sold significantly, or at least around 1,500 to 2,000 crores, right? So with all this being said, please trade carefully and always hedge your position. Nothing much. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.